Hello everyone and welcome. Thank you for joining us for today's webinar, The Power of Choice, Identity Governance for Your Modern Enterprise. I'm Shay Mann and I will be your moderator. Today's webinar is in listen-only mode. If you have any questions throughout the event, go ahead and submit those in the Q&A panel and we will answer them during the Q&A session at the end of the presentation. This session will be recorded and we will email you a link to the recorded version tomorrow. Joining us today is SailPoint's Chief Strategy Officer and co-founder, Kevin Cunningham, and our Vice President of Business Development, Mike Siegel. Kevin, Mike, thanks for joining us today. Kevin, I'll pass it over to you to get us started.
Thank you, Shay. Greetings, everybody. My name is Kevin Cunningham, and I'm joined today with Mike Siegel to talk about how SailPoint is providing its customers the freedom of choice with respect to deployment options for identity governance. But first, let's take a step back and look at the broader context of what's happening in the enterprise today. We're all experiencing, at one level or another, a digital transformation within our businesses. In fact, IDC reports that by 2019, enterprises are going to be spending in excess of $2 trillion, that's trillion with a T, on digital transformation, with fully 40% of technology spend going towards it. That means that the majority of us are accessing our processes, our infrastructure, our productivity tools, and even the way we handle data to better satisfy the needs of our organizations and customers. So obviously, with this kind of spend behind it, it's a very hot topic across the globe. But just what does digital transformation mean? It's a big term after all. At its broadest level, it's how organizations use technology to improve performance or extend the reach of their businesses. Organizations across all industries are putting to use advances like analytics, mobility, social media, and smart embedded devices. They're also looking for ways to improve their use of traditional technologies, such as ERP systems, to change customer relationships, internal processes, and value propositions. While this obviously means different things to different businesses, there are some common similarities amongst all companies who are undergoing this transition. For one thing, business borders are becoming more and more open to facilitate collaboration and workflow processes that extend to vendors and partners. These open borders also mean that work can be done from anywhere and at any time, allowing for greater efficiencies and productivity. So one result of this transformation is that we have significantly increased the complexity and scale of managing users and resources in the enterprise. Our enterprise environments are more open and interconnected across not only employees, but contractors, suppliers, and business partners, as well as system resources, robotic identities, and even IoT devices. This creates additional levels of complexity and risk, as well as an explosion of identity elements and users to manage. In addition, business users have driven a dramatic increase in the number of applications and the amount of data that organizations need to manage, not only on-premise, but in the cloud, beyond the traditional network perimeter. Unfortunately, this openness also means that your organization is potentially more exposed to threats from cyber criminal elements. It only takes one of those points of exposure to be compromised to potentially cause big problems. So given this explosion of users, digital assets, and applications, it's more of an imperative than ever to be able to track and analyze who has access to what in your enterprise, and to know whether that access is appropriate for their current relationship with your organization, and to be able to create these linkages quickly and efficiently and disassemble them just as quickly. That's the role that identity governance plays in the enterprise. So no matter where you are in your digital transformation, you need to manage these identities. Fundamentally, you need to be able to address three important questions. Who currently has access to what? Who actually should have access to what? And what can people do with that access? Given the extended nature of today's enterprise, both from a user perspective as well as the applications those users are accessing, effectively managing identities has never been more strategic or important. For example, if I'm accessing a business application in a SaaS form that's off-prem in the cloud from my smart device, the only thing that links me as a person and a user to that business application which may contain sensitive information is my identity. So identity has become critical to your company's security and compliance efforts. We all know that today's headlines are full of stories of data breaches. The reality is that many of those breaches have a lax control of identities as a core root cause. As a result, this is a topic that's receiving board-level attention. So as we open up our borders, effectively managing who has access to what has never been more critical. Another common element of digital transformations is the adoption of cloud technologies and resources. A major initiative for organizations today is to move more and more workloads to the cloud, offloading traditional on-premise resources and applications to private and public cloud environments and to SaaS applications. In fact, many organizations have a cloud-first strategy in which all new technology buys must consider a cloud-first option first. Regardless of where you are in your digital transformation, everybody is adopting cloud technologies. But as you can see, I have an asterisk on the phrase cloud enterprise here. Many of those same companies continue to run on-premise these applications in parallel. And this will be the case for many years. In fact, Gartner predicts that 90% of organizations will have a hybrid IT environment by 2020. And while we've seen entire sectors of software swing radically towards a strong preference for cloud delivery, identity governance, for several reasons, has been experiencing a more gradual move to the cloud. And as it turns out, this is not a one-size-fits-all proposition. At one end of the spectrum, some companies prefer the control, flexibility, and extensibility that an on-premises solution provides, and will continue to do so for many years. At the other end of the spectrum, some companies prefer the simplicity, time to value, and ease of consumption that a SaaS solution provides. And then there are those in the middle, who desire the sophistication and flexibility of an on-premises solution without having to run it in their own data center. So while cloud adoption is a key component of digital transformation for many companies, we recognize that its rate and pace of adoption for identity governance is going to vary quite a bit for different organizations. That's why we at SailPoint are investing in a spectrum of delivery options for our customers. These options include a traditional data center deployment model in which data governance solution is operated from your own data center and managed by your own dedicated staff. A public cloud option that allows you to operate identity governance from a public cloud environment such as Amazon Web Services or Microsoft Azure. As a managed service in which a customer outsources the deployment and or operation of the governance solution to one of our trusted partners. And finally, a pure SaaS model in which we centrally host a multi-tenant service on a subscription basis. I'll now hand it over to Mike, who's going to go into more detail on each of these options and offer you questions that will help answer which solution is right for you.
Great. Thank you, Kevin. Hi, everybody. This is Mike Siegel. It's great to be speaking with you today. I know we're mostly talking today about cloud deployment options, but we also need to dig into the traditional on-premise deployment so you can truly compare the pros and cons of each. This is where most enterprise organizations, in fact, have started with their identity program, and this has been SailPoint's main focus for many years. We have hundreds of customers that have chosen this route for a variety of reasons. First, sophisticated use cases. We have the ability to address very sophisticated use case and processes and leverage our connections across newly adopted cloud applications and on-premise applications, including proprietary applications that you may have. Next, scalability and performance. Large enterprise organizations will often have identities in the range of millions, which requires the ability to scale and manage across a large, disparate user population with the need to ensure governance is performed even at the most granular levels of entitlement and permissions, all without sacrificing on performance of delivery and response of access. Finally, flexibility. Having an identity solution deployed from your own data center means your own dedicated identity team will have maximum flexibility over how the identity solution is configured, delivered, and managed across your organization. Flexibility also provides customers the ability to tailor their governance processes to fit their exact needs. Next, we'll talk about SaaS. Now, there are many flavors of cloud, but SaaS is something that we introduced to SailPoint 5 years ago. And this was, frankly, when your deployment decision was a rather binary one, either on-premise or SaaS. Now, SaaS has a lot of benefits that make it appealing because it helps address challenges that organizations have when considering an identity governance project. First, it's no secret that the security industry has a huge employment gap right now, meaning there are just not enough skilled people in security, let alone with identity specialties, to address the demand in the market. With SaaS, you don't have to have all that expertise in-house. Next, identity in the past required some pretty heavy-duty infrastructure to support it, which has created obstacles for some organizations that, again, may not have the CapEx or capital expenditure budget, nor the team to manage. With SaaS, you leverage the OpEx budget instead. And deployments are faster. With no infrastructure to manage, the administration becomes much simpler. The easiest way to think about this is that we are monitoring and managing it so you don't have to have a huge team to do that yourself. And finally, SaaS provides a simplified maintenance program that also doesn't require an identity team. Upgrades don't involve months of planning and testing. Bug fixes are delivered on a daily or weekly basis to all of our customers, and the skill and manpower required are significantly less. After SaaS, we started seeing 2 additional cloud deployment options that our customers in the market were asking for. First is public cloud, and this is where you buy a solution and host it in the cloud like AWS or Azure. There's a notion that you own it, but you're putting it in somebody else's data center. So it's not closed to your team of administrators. You can still have the business user gain visibility and access, but you want to lower your total cost of ownership. So the value here is you get to maximize agility and cost benefits of a cloud platform such as Amazon, AWS, and Microsoft Azure. And by shifting workloads to the cloud, you now can take on a consumption-based model for IT budgets. And of course, you get the proven cloud-based identity governance designed for the enterprise that can address sophisticated business use cases, processes, and policies, just like you would with our on-premise option. And finally, we have now the managed service provider option. This is for companies that really want it all. You have a mandate. You want to be compliant. You need to be efficient, but you lack the expertise, and of course, hiring is hard. So what do you get with a managed service offering? First, you get expertise. Leverage a proven service provider to assess, deploy, manage, and support your identity efforts. And this, of course, comes with SLAs to help ensure that you get the service that you require. And you have no need for a full-time staff. That staff is augmented by your managed service provider. Managed service provider option also helps you accelerate strategic and transformative identity governance initiatives. You can couple this with other IT or security services you may be already getting from your managed service provider as well. And you get direction on best approaches to implementing identity and addressing existing initiatives such as GDPR, HIPAA, and other initiatives that are important to you. Finally, the solution can be tailored to your specific business requirements. Now recently, SailPoint introduced a recommended managed service provider program. We went through an extensive and rigorous process of evaluating managed service providers to make sure that they met our criteria for offering the best service and with the best capability. These 4 managed service providers you see here, Accenture, Column Technologies, IDM Works, and Deloitte, are trained and certified to handle SailPoint's technologies, bringing them into the cloud in a hosted environment, but also providing you the management capability for your identity program. There will be more such recommended managed service providers to come, and we welcome your desire to move to the cloud with these managed service partners. So, as you're thinking about which deployment option makes sense for you, there are a series of questions that you can ask yourself. Choosing which identity governance deployment type is frankly not a simple decision. However, we think that by looking at this decision through 3 lenses, infrastructure, flexibility, and staffing, You will be able to ask the right questions, which will ultimately land you at the right decision. Each one of these categories has its own unique spectrum of nuanced scenarios, but taken collectively, you will likely identify the right deployment mode for you. The key thing to remember is that you have the power of choice. The first set of questions to ask involve the infrastructure that you can or cannot absorb in support of your identity governance program. Do you have a strategic initiative or mandate to move workloads to the cloud? Do you prefer to invest in infrastructure in your own data center or leverage cloud-based infrastructure? What is the current mix of IT and security applications managed in your own data center versus in the cloud? These questions and others like them will be your first indicator as to which form of identity governance deployment makes the most sense for your organization. Keep in mind that this goes far deeper than simply calculating total cost of ownership, and you'll want to project forward the expected priorities and requirements of your company for years into the future. The next set of questions to determine the right identity governance deployment for your organization pertain to the relative complexity of your business requirements when it comes to identity. Can your organization adapt to standardized processes for identity governance? Or do you prefer to have a solution that can accommodate your existing and specialized processes? Now, many organizations have similar process requirements and can therefore benefit from the best practice templates that are built into the SailPoint SaaS offerings. On the other hand, your organization may have a lot of moving parts, perhaps due to disparate organizational structures or complex regulatory requirements. If this is the case, then flexibility is valued, and you'll want an identity governance system that can adapt to your specialized needs. SailPoint's offerings in the data center, public cloud, or hosted MSP can provide this flexibility. Finally, the last series of questions pertain to the staffing resources you have or want to have to run your identity program. Taking stock of your resource capabilities today, as well as projected into the future, is an important element in guiding which type of identity governance deployment you may want to pursue. If you have the identity expertise in-house and have adequate resources on staff, then a robust and highly configurable deployment either in your data center or in a public cloud could be a great fit. However, if your staffing requirements are challenging and your team lacks identity skill specialization, then an MSP or SAS deployment may be a better answer. The important thing here is to make sure that you take the ongoing management of your identity program into account early so that you pursue the deployment method that makes the most sense. Okay, Kevin, handing it back to you.
Thanks, Mike. So in summary, SailPoint is the only vendor providing customers this freedom of choice to consume identity the way that best suits their needs. As I said earlier, this is not a one-size-fits-all proposition. You've got to carefully examine your organizational needs, capabilities, and desires to arrive at the solution that's right for you. Our team is standing by to help you in this regard. So providing you the flexibility deployment model is an investment we're committed to make now and into the future. The choice is yours. Now, before we move into our Q&A section, I just want to put out a quick reminder about our upcoming user conferences. We call it Navigate. And we've got 3 around the globe this year. The first one will be in Austin, Texas, from May 14th through the 16th. The second will be in Sydney, Australia, from August 21st to the 22nd. And the third will be in Barcelona, Spain, from October 17th to the 19th. Strongly encourage you to take a look at this and come out if you can. It's a very rewarding experience for our customers and our partners and frankly for ourselves, and sharing a lot of information, networking, getting to meet other people in industry, your peers, etc. So very strongly encourage you to come out to one of those conferences if you can. So with that, we're going to move on to our Q&A session. Shay, I'll hand it back to you.
Thanks, Kevin. Great. Just a friendly reminder, if you have a question, go ahead and type that into your Q&A panel on the right side of your screen, and we will answer as many as we can in the allotted time. So let's jump on in. Our first question, are you shifting your investment in R&D from your on-premises solution to your cloud solution?
Chell, this is Kevin. I'll take that one. No, we are not. Actually, we have a parallel development effort that's been underway for several years in that regard. So this is very much about, we built up a second parallel team to our on-premises team. We're serving multiple markets with these product lines, and we do believe that each of these options has a lot of viability well into the future. So we continue to invest in our on-premises solutions. We are investing heavily in our SaaS-based solution, and we're investing in the cloud solutions for both the MSP offering as well as the public cloud offerings. We've done some things to our investments in our product line to make them, our on-prem products, more cloud-friendly, if you will, from a monitoring perspective, and some other things, enhancements we've made to take advantage of cloud elasticity. So these are all areas of investment for us moving forward in parallel.
Great, thank you. Okay, our next question. When will more MSPs be rolled out, especially internationally?
Sure, this is Mike. I'll take that one. So as I said earlier, we've signed up 4 MSPs as part of our recommended program. We have additional MSPs who have been working with SailPoint for several years now, and many of them are also going through this recommended or certification process right now, and we do plan to expand and have coverage globally. Keep in mind, of the 4 that we have already signed as recommended, Deloitte and Accenture already have international and global businesses today.
Is SailPoint SCIM capable?
So SCIM, for those who are not familiar with it, is an industry standard around how you communicate to and from identity governance solutions. In fact, we are a co-author of SCIM and a big consumer of SCIM ourselves. So yes, across our entire product line, we do support the SCIM standard. We encourage others in the industry to take that up as well. We have many partners, and particularly in the privileged account management marketplace, that have also adopted those standards. So it makes the integration between various components of the infrastructure much more straightforward and simple the more vendors that adopt the standard. We're also encouraging as many application vendors themselves to adopt SCIM, because again, that simplifies the environment for the customers. If everybody were to adhere to the SCIM standard, life would be really great for everybody. Unfortunately, it's not uniform across adoption at this point in time, but it's something we're pushing very hard for. And again, to reiterate, our products themselves do absolutely support the SCIM standard.
And probably a good reminder to let everyone remember about our Identity Plus Alliance program, where we have dozens of technology vendors who have written to various SDKs, APIs, as well as SCIM in order to be compatible with the SailPoint platform, and that is growing on a daily and weekly basis. So we actually believe SCIM is a very important protocol for us going forward.
Great, thank you. Okay, next question. In thinking about SailPoint and which option to pick, how do I determine what my staffing needs will be on-site versus the other 3 options?
Yeah, so I think that the key here is to recognize that there are a variety of different criteria that have to be considered. Certainly, total cost of ownership is one. Do you have the budget and the resources to be able to have a staff that is dedicated to an identity program? Identity does require expertise. There is specialization in this field. If you do not have that specialization, nor do you have the budget to go and hire those people, then certainly a MSP or SaaS approach is going to be a more advantageous approach. If, on the other hand, you do have some staff and you do have the ability to train them and provide them specialization, keep in mind SailPoint also has a very robust training capability. We train our customers every week of the year, and so we can absolutely get your team up to speed. Then certainly our on-premise or our cloud-hosted capability would be perfectly fine.
Thank you. Okay, what is the advantage of using SaaS from PaaS or LaaS?
I think I understand the question correctly. What's the difference between hosting a solution in a cloud environment yourself versus subscribing to a SaaS solution? I think Mike kind of went through some of the details on this, but really the primary difference is a SaaS solution is something that we manage and operate on behalf of our customers. So we handle all the software updates, for instance. That's very transparent. We update actually multiple times a day our SaaS solution. So the operation of the solution itself, if you will, is provided on behalf of the customer. When you talk about hosting in a SaaS or IaaS environment or PaaS environment, that's typically either the customer managing that application in those environments or a trusted partner in the form of MSP partner managing that application. So it really depends on kind of who's running it and what the nature is. The other big difference is our SaaS solution is multi-tenant, which means we run one version of the software for all customers. That can be a pro or it can be con, depending how you look at that. From a pro perspective, everybody gets updated simultaneously, everyone gets new features automatically, there's no significant upgrade process associated with it, but at the same time, you have some lesser degree of control over how that application operates. So like all SaaS solutions, we're more prescriptive in terms of how those identity processes are going to operate within your environment. So therein lies the trade-off.
Thanks, Kevin. Okay, next question. So of the 4 implementation options, what do you typically see in the healthcare space?
Yeah, interesting question. Certainly in any vertical, there's a number of criteria by which a customer would choose one of these deployment options. Healthcare industry tends to be regulated. Obviously, protection of user data and privacy is paramount. So naturally, people may think, well, I should probably keep that system close to me and on my premises. And certainly, we have a number of healthcare customers who have done exactly that. They've deployed with our on-premise capability. But there really is no reason why a healthcare company could not also consider some of the other scenarios as well. Data governance and protection and IP protection are as important and as impactful in the IaaS and the SaaS environments that we provide as well. One thing to mention is in a vertical like healthcare, one of the major criteria in choosing an identity governance solution should be its relevance to your application environment. One thing that SailPoint has done is we've invested fairly heavily in applications that are specific to the healthcare domain, like Epic. This has been an important investment for us, and that also should factor into your criteria for how you choose an identity governance solution.
Thanks, Mike. Is SaaS available as EU hosted within Europe?
Yes, it is. We actually have data centers in multiple geographies, and including in Europe. So we've got a data center located in Germany, actually, for our European customers.
Thank you. Okay, that is about all the time that we have for questions today. Thank you, everyone, for joining us. Keep an eye out for an email from us tomorrow. That will include a recording of today's presentation. You can share that with interested colleagues that weren't able to attend today's webinar. If you'd like to learn more, go ahead and contact us using the phone number or email address on your screen, and we will get you in touch with an identity expert. Thanks to everyone who joined us today. Mike, Kevin, thank you for a great presentation, and we hope you have a great rest of your day. Thank you.